السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا بحضراتكم. سيشن جديدة من Pace to Race Academy. و as you know طبعا إن السيشن دي this is the second part. ده الجزء الثاني من Say it loud اللي هي السيشن اللي عملتها مس وفاء، وأنا كنت المفروض أكون موجودة أو أكمل السيشن، بس ما كملناهاش وسبحان الله تأجلت شوية، بس سبحان الله لعله خير، كل شيء بأوان إن شاء الله. So today we have the second part of the session, energizing speaking activities, but we are mainly talking about adults. But I'm not saying that these activities cannot fit the young learners, but you can adapt. So the idea is so easy. You can adapt and you can change. So if we have any teachers here who teach young learners, simply you can adapt these activities. As long as we are all English teachers. So I guess it's okay with you to speak English or to have English at the medium of the session or the way communication in the session. So if you agree, type one. If you wanna me speak Arabic, I have no problem. Again, it's up to you. So if you wanna speak English, just type one. If you wanna me speak Arabic or at least be bilingual, speak write two. So let's check your preferences. If you want me speak English the whole session. Okay, great job. Heba Muhammad. Heba, you're the only one, Heba, who wrote two. Okay. Heba Muhammad. Okay. And Rana, you prefer two. So we have two of you uh who prefer using or being bilingual. But the others here, would you all please participate in this vote? Would you all please participate in this vote so we can just figure out? More, please. One or two. More teachers, please, to vote. One or two. Okay, still one. One. Okay. So most probably Rana and Heba will be communicating in English. But again, if you need anything, if you cannot understand, if you have a problem understanding anything, please raise your hand and I'm gonna repeat for you. No worries. Just raise your hand, tell me repeat, no problem. You can't hear the question, Rahab. I'm asking if you want me to communicate throughout the session in English or in Arabic. That was my question. Okay. So one, if you want me to speak English. Two, if you want me. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So as you know, maybe some of you attended the session, many sessions with us before in Pace to Race Academy. Maybe some of you are new. Pace to Race Academy are mainly an academy for teachers in different fields, not only English, of course. We have like the academy is presenting or is introducing different courses. So we have AI grammar mastery, how to teach grammar like a pro, and we also have how to AI diploma. These are the two courses that are running for the time being. But we are inshallah heading inshallah for extra courses in the future, just maybe in بإذن الله inshallah يعني January we'll be starting we're preparing and we're starting TCLK, and inshallah you will understand what's TCLK and why do we call it when we start. We are also preparing some courses for classroom management and for assessment and giving feedback. So we are preparing all of these courses, inshallah. Hopefully, inshallah, you can join in the future. So let's get started with the topic that we're going to talk about today, which is enhancing English as a second language speaking skills beyond, again, classroom. So here, before we start, let's talk about speaking. Of course, speaking is very important skill that you want to teach for your students and you want to improve, again, your students' skills. So we try to equip learners with the strategies and improve their real-world communication. In order to do so, we need to check some elements, key elements for effective language acquisition. So first of all, in order to help your students to speak, you have to immerse students in rich. What does mean immerse them? You need to expose them to, guys, close the cam, please. We need to expose them to authentic spoken material. What does it mean, spoken material? Like maybe, what does it mean, sorry, authentic? Authentic, can someone tell me what does it mean, authentic spoken material? What does it mean? We said that these are the key elements for effective language acquisition. So what does it mean, authentic spoken material? Mr. Ahmed, go ahead. Hello, Mr. Ahmed.
Yes, can you hear me, Doctor?
Yes, I can hear you. So what does it mean?
So it means basically that the recordings that you're paying for the students, if they are recordings, are recorded by let's say native speakers or native like speakers, like they don't have an accent, they don't have any sort of thing that would disrupt or mess around with the students' acquisition of knowledge.
Thank you so much. So authentic material or authentic spoken material, Ms. Azza, go ahead if you want to add something or you want to repeat what he said. If you have something to add, please go.
Thank you, Miss. The same thing.
Same. Okay, thank you so much. So authentic materials means that you are letting your students listen to real native speakers talking, but in context, not in isolation. So this means you're letting them, maybe watch TV series, movies, maybe listening songs. What else? Maybe debates, talks, TED talks. So all these are called authentic, real material. So this is what we're talking about this is what I mean by exposing or exposure. So the students should be exposed. Second, they should use, they should use these maybe expression that they learned or maybe the word they learned, they should use it in meaningful context. So when we teach them how to speak, so we are not teaching them words in isolation. Instead, we are teaching them words in context, phrases, idioms, expressions, and you help them to learn these authentic materials, right? To learn them in context, in meaningful context. Then you have to motivate your students all the time, motivate them to listen, to read, to speak. So motivation is very important. So these are key elements for effective language acquisition for the students. Of course, this is for language in general, if you're talking about speaking, reading, and writing, and listening. But for speaking, let them listen, because if you listen, what's the result? You're going to speak. So this is the exposure we're talking about. So they're going to listen first, then you're going to put them in in maybe situations, in real situations, maybe inside the classroom, maybe outside the classroom. Maybe you're going to create something for them to practice speaking. So I'm talking here about language in general and specifically about speaking. So if we compare classroom and real world speaking, which one will be better? So what do you think, in your opinion? If I expose my students to conversation in classroom or in real world, I mean, maybe a restaurant like this. So here, for example, this activity encourages sub skills like turn taking, like active listening, and students are doing this in class. And real world application, they practice the speaking skills, maybe in social interactions outside the classroom. So which one, in your opinion, is better for the students? What do you think? Now we are talking about improving the students' speaking. Which one is better for them? What do you think? Exposing them to the language or the target language we're talking about inside the classroom, and maybe practice skills to or students here engage in social interactions outside the classroom. So which one are we talking about here? Let me listen. Let me listen. Listen and listen to whom? Both. Both are important. Yes. But which one is better? I know that both are important, but I'm talking about which one is better for them. I need someone else other than Mr. Hussein, Ahmed Hussein. Someone else. Someone else. Guys, we need to interact together. So please do. It's a speaking session. Miss Azza, go ahead.
Yes, it's better to know English or to
Learn
speak
English.
English.
Yes.
Learning, yes, from authentic real English from native speakers, not from our own
No, no,
Arab
no, no.
language.
No, this is not the
Yeah.
question. This is not the idea. You let them practice. You let them practice in class, okay? Or you let them practice outside the class. So which activity is better? Is it real world application or activities inside class? This is this is what we are talking about. Not authentic material. This is not the my question. Thank you, Ms. Ad.
Teacher,
Mr. Ahmed? Yes, Mr. Ahmed, go ahead.
I'm really sorry, doctor. The phone just frozen and like I was typing and stuff.
It's okay.
So I was saying that a real life application would be better, just because some stuff would be not applicable in a controlled environment or like in a closed classroom. For example, if you're practicing with a native speaker mannerisms, for example, you would let's take this most example of like Egyptians or us in general. Being a little bit interruptive. Like for example, if you say something and I got an idea in a second, like, oh, let me, for us it's normal, but like with a native or an outsider, basically they would consider this as rude. So mannerisms of speaking would not be like, hey, listen and practice, play the audio, and you read the first sentence, you read the second sentence, and then we practice the conversation together. It would be less natural going, or more constrained or controlled. That's my own opinion, if you agree with me or not.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, some of you, I'm not talking again about them talking to native speakers. I'm talking about students themselves, using the target language in real world application, like in a cafe or whatever. So we are not talking about them talking to native speakers. I'm talking about them, I'm talking about the students practicing this together, but not in class, outside the class, like in a cafe, for example. You got me? But this is my question here. Okay, so let's move to Rahab. What do you think, Rahab?
Okay, doctor. I
Hmm.
think if them more practice outside,
Mhm.
make them perfect. Practice them perfect. So if them practice their language in outside, they
So you believe
get
if
to
they
use them.
practice, the language outside the class, they will be perfect. So you
Yes,
prefer outside the class, right?
outside.
Okay, and
Yes,
I can see here some of you are saying um, inside the class, then outside the class. This is what you're saying. Okay, and I have Ibsam, real life activities are more memorable. Okay, nice. Who else? Who else wants to add, not to repeat? And if you want to add, Wala, you want to add or repeat?
I think that inside the class will be better at the beginning because it's more monitored. I'm not sure what's going to happen outside. So inside the class will be monitored. I will check the mistakes. I will increase the accuracy. Then outside they can increase the fluency.
This is good idea again. So what do you think? What do you
I
think of what she
prefer
said?
inside the class.
So you prefer inside the class. Okay, so Wala, would you please read this activity? A, this is inside the class. So would you please read it? A,
A, tell me about a holiday in excruciating detail.
detail, yes. B,
Just a second.
B,
It says
how
let's
interest by using devices like, show interest by using
but
devices like showing
yeah.
eye contact. This is in class. Nodding
Mm,
your head, saying it that's so, saying really, saying So who's now interacting? This is B. Okay, so this is what's happening inside the class. We have showing eye contact, we have nodding. Maybe this is way again of agreeing by showing nodding. Maybe by saying this so this is happening inside the class. What about if we're talking about something outside the class, like, for example, talking about last weekend? So maybe if I'm asking you to reflect on your weekend's overall experience, what was the most enjoyable moment or event? What was the least enjoyable aspect? So if you are experiencing this outside the class, maybe let's say in a cafe or maybe in a restaurant or whatever. So these are the two activities I'm talking about. So let's here check the answer for what I said. Contrary to popular belief that weekend activity has little value as classroom speaking activity, although it's outside, although it's in maybe in real life situation, it doesn't have students practice any sub skills, and it's not set up to focus on fluency as questions can be answered with one word. So here, I guess this is not my own. This is not my own. I mean, words, or these are not my own ideas, but these are ideas from a book, and I can send you the link to the book if you want to read it. So here, this book said that no, practicing outside the class, it doesn't have students practice any sub skills, and we're going to talk about the sub skills right now. But here, the activity inside the class encourages fluency, turn-taking skills. What does it mean, turn-taking? We're going to talk about it as a sub-skill now of speaking, and responding and initiating. So what I want to say here before we start, because we're going to take activities for these sub-skills, that inside the class, you have you as a teacher here has all, you say, the space, and you have all yes, you have the space, and you can check them in one way or another. You can check them, and you can encourage fluency, turn-taking skills. So A is speaking, B is speaking. You know what this means, turn-taking? Like each one of us has a turn. This is what's meant by turn-taking. And you're going to teach them how to use turn-taking. So if A speaks, B is silent. And then if B speaks, A is going to be silent. So we are exchanging turns. So here in class, you can monitor, you can tell them why they are making mistakes, what's wrong with them, how can you improve, and how you can encourage their fluency. So maybe I will go with the opinion that yes, let's do it in class. Yes, Miss Samah, they are more engaged outside, but you cannot monitor them. You got me? And you cannot simply make sure that they are learning the sub skills of speaking. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, so it's better to start, and I like this opinion when you said it's better to start with practicing speaking inside the class. Okay, and then after that, you may encourage your students to go outside the class. You got the idea? You see here? So if we compare these two activities, and we compare the sub skills practiced in last weekend activity, which is outside the class, the sub skills practiced are what limited. But again, in real world, we talk about real, and we are talking about inside the class, we have many sub skills that you can encourage the students to adopt and to practice and to be better in. I don't know if you understood the idea or not of this book. Did you get the idea? Did you get the idea? What is this book trying to tell you? Yes or no? If you understood what I'm talking about, please type 1. Okay, I need participation, please. This is a speaking session, so I'm expecting you to speak. So please, yes. So thank you so much for those who participated. So I'm talking about the idea that if you practice inside the class, you as a teacher have time and have space to monitor and to encourage your students. Now let's talk about the speaking sub-skills, because mainly our activities today are based on improving speaking sub-skills. So what are the speaking soft skills that we are going to talk about today, and how we are going to improve them and have some activities to help you improve these soft skills? Any ideas about the speaking soft skills? Speaking soft skills. What are the speaking soft skills? Any ideas? Any ideas? Hello, hello. I prefer if you speak, please. Pronunciation, okay.
Hello, hello, Dr. Heba.
Hello, Miss Dalia. Go ahead. Dalia is
No, I don't know.
right?
Should be asked first. I found the announcement. Do you hear me well, Dr. Heba?
No, my
Hello?
dear, I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. Okay,
Okay,
so
I'll start my message and then I'll
sub skills of speaking. Sub skills of speaking. This is what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know what are they.
Okay, thank you so much. So my question is, what are the speaking sub skills? So as we said, I'm gonna tell you about them now. Those speaking sub skills, they help or they can enhance, they can greatly enhance one's ability to communicate fluently and accurately in different contexts. But what are they? The first sub skill of speaking is fluency. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Tahani. Tahani said one of them, taking turns. Thank you so much. Perfect, Tahani. This is one of the sub skills. This is one of the sub skills. So the first sub skill of speaking is fluency. You focus on meaning and you try to focus on meaning in context. Okay? And you try to practice speaking. So we're gonna talk about some activities that enhance fluency. So what's fluency again? Grammar fluency is one of them. Yes. So fluency is one of the مش هقول لكم activities على فكرة
One
كده.
of one of the soft skills.
one of the sub skills. احنا لو فضلنا ما بنتكلمش كده، انا بكلمكم بالعربي اهو، لو مش هتتكلموا كده وفاضلين سايلنت كده، انا مش هقول activity وهخلص لكم السيشن theoretical. عادي جدا جدا، لو ما فيش اي participation هزعل. طيب okay, so first sub skill is fluency. This is number one. Second sub skill is, some of you said it, I guess, pronunciation, accuracy with words and pronunciation. So students practice using words, structure, and pronunciation accurately, right? And you need to focus on this accuracy. So you need to help your students to pronounce the words correctly in order to be understood. And again, you need to raise awareness maybe about different dialects. You know, if you're teaching adults, you need to teach them about different dialects that we have, for example, American dialect, British dialect, and maybe there are differences in some pronunciation of words. So you need to focus on this. And if you're teaching at school, so you need to focus on the idea that we are using standard dialects. We're not using, you know, informal dialect, or let's say a slang dialect or vernacular dialects. We're not using these dialects. We are usually use standard dialect. For example, when I was in college, like many, many years ago, one of my professors, he used to say this word. Listen, please. Monotonous. Monotonous. So we don't understand, what does it mean, monotonous? We don't understand. So we tried to understand from him, and he was very nervous that we as students cannot understand him. Then the next day, you know, he came and apologized. He said, this is, you know, it's a dialect, or let's say it's an accent. If we came to pronunciation, it's an accent. He was saying monotonous. Monotonous. But instead of the T, we have something called glottal stop, you know? So like do'i, you know do'i? You know this So instead of saying monotonous, he said monotonous. Monotonous. So we don't understand exactly. So you have to teach your students, and you have to let them know we are not studying in, if we are teaching them in classes and at schools, we at universities, we are teaching you formal, standard. We are not teaching you the slang language. Okay, so this is the second subskill. Third subskill, using functions, which means functional language. So students can use specific phrases for purposes like maybe giving advice, apologizing, and so on. So you have to tell your students how to use functions or functional language, like certain phrases for certain purposes, certain idioms for certain purposes. So this is again important, using functions. What else? What else is one of the sub-skills? We have appropriacy. What does it mean? Like, you know, in Arabic, we have this example, and I usually like to tell it in Arabic, which is لكل مقام مقال. You know this in Arabic? You know what does mean لكل مقام مقال? What does it mean?
suitable.
أيوة يا
What does
دكتور.
it mean لكل مقام مقال?
يعني نتكلم موضوعات specific للتوبيك اللي احنا بنتكلم عنه، مش حاجات بعيدة عنه.
No, it's not like that. Huh. What does it
Hello,
mean?
doctor. Like
Hello.
using some words, like experiment and experience.
Thank you so much. What else? Huh? What does it mean? Appropriate, appropriacy. What does it mean?
Suitability. Suitability as well.
Suitability, which means, again, what does it mean? Huh?
Words I use should be suitable to the context. I use them
Situation. The sentences or the language you are
Context.
using
Of
should be
context, yes.
suitable. Yes. Should be appropriate for the situation. Should be appropriate
Yes.
for the situation. So, for example, now, if you, if you are talking to your boss, is it the same way you are talking, for example, to your colleague? Are you going to use the same structure?
Like formal and informal?
Similar to, yes. So formal and informal, like some of them, but we have a lot. But formal and informal is one of them. So the vocabulary and the structure that you are using should be suitable to the situation you are using. So here, this is what I meant. What I mean by appropriacy, which means your language should be appropriate. You got me? And again, sometimes we need some jargons or some expressions. For example, in scientific context, can we use the same words or the same expression in scientific context? Like, for example, if we are using them in let's say in story, no, they're different. So appropriacy. So this is one of the sub-skills you need to teach your students. You got me? So this is again very important and one sub-skill. Then the turn-taking skills. This is very important sub-skill you have to teach your students. So number one, you have to tell them that when someone talks, the other should be listening. And if the other wants to interrupt, you know, sometimes you can interrupt. But let's say in places where speaker A shows that, you know, he is about to finish or he's about to end his turn. So in this case, you may start to talk. If you want to interrupt and is essential for you, interrupt. If it's essential, okay, go ahead and interrupt for a reason. But again, if you interrupt your colleague without a reason, this is kind of rudeness. And then we have what's called, you know, how to keep your turn. What does it mean? I'm speaking now, and I don't want to lose my turn, and I want, for example, Rahab to wait for me till I finish. So in this case, you teach your students to say, you know, I mean, you see, in this case, you are trying to keep your turn. You are trying to keep your turn. So you have to teach your students those sub-skills. Guys, these are also important if you're teaching at schools. You know why? You don't have to teach all of them, of course. Or you are teaching at university or giving courses. You don't have to teach all of them. But you have to teach your students what to do in these situations. So I'm talking, you are listening. Sometimes you can give your You can give your colleague or your partner kind of, what do we call it? We call it back channel. What does mean? What does mean back channel? I bought a dress. If I'm saying I bought a dress for 2,000 pounds. So what's your back channel? It's like you're commenting on me, but without taking my turn. Oh, really? You didn't take the turn. And you didn't take the turn from me, but you are just giving me feedback on what I'm saying. This is kind of turn taking. So do you understand the idea? Do you understand what we're teaching our students here? So you are teaching, and again, how can we do this? By activities. We can do this by activities. We can do this by letting them watch movies, and you can simply create some activities or create some conversations using AI in order to show them what does it mean turn taking. What does it mean turn taking? Like, for example, creating a podcast using AI. So you are teaching your students that in the podcast, two people are speaking together. Each one has a turn. Sometimes they interrupt each other. Other times, each one is listening to the other. You see? So what do we call this sub-skill again? What do we call it? Turn taking skills. Turn taking skills. So far, so good? Do you understand? Guys, do you understand what I'm talking about now? If you are not following, if you have any problem, please let me know. If you don't understand, if you have any problem, please let me know. I'm here.
Yes, Dr. Heba, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, regarding the point of turn taking skills, that's I'm coming as a teacher to give it them as a very clear structure that you have to do this and this and this in
No,
this situations, but
Radwa,
it comes from practicing.
From practicing. And Radwa,
Yes.
you cannot tell them you have to do 1, 2, 3. But you
Yes.
are showing them a conversation, and you are, analyzing the conversation with them. You see? So what happened here? Before you ask them to go and do the task. So you should model first.
Yes.
You should model first. What do you mean by turn taking? Guys, if you're not doing this at your schools, and if you don't have time for this, at least take one sub skill. At least take one sub skill and teach it to your students. But turn taking is one of the most important sub skills of speaking. You know why? Because students, they speak at whatever time you want. They interrupt each other, and maybe sometimes, they take each other's turns. So you should teach them that each one of us has his own turn. And you should teach them, how can you start your turn? So you give them examples. But it's not like, as I said, it's not like, well, turn taking skills mean 1, 2, 3, 4. You should do 1, 2, 3. You shouldn't do 1, 2, 3. No. Show
It
them an
comes
example
through
and
modeling.
model. Exactly. Model. So you
Okay.
can show them a real conversation, maybe radio conversation, maybe let's say a TV show, whatever. And start explaining what do we mean by turn taking.
Okay. Regarding these turn taking skills, they are only interjection skills, listening for gaps,
No,
pausing.
there are more. There are more. There are
So
more.
we have
These are
to
only
look
examples.
for it.
These are only examples. But there are more turn taking skills. These are only examples, like listening for gaps. So you need to tell your student, or so when you're maybe for example, if I'm talking and I stop, Mr. Ahmed Hussein, don't use the annotation, please. Mr. Ahmed, don't use the annotation. So, for example, if I'm talking, okay, and then you are listening, maybe you don't need to, as I said, interrupt me, but you need to react, or you need to show me a feedback. Like, wow, great, amazing, really. Sorry to hear that. But still, I didn't take your turn. You see? So this is how you are teaching your students how they interact with each other. That's why
they
I'm
are
telling
more
you.
than these 3 ones.
There are
They are
more, of
more.
course. Turn taking skills are a lot. Guys, and again, that's why I said at the very beginning that practicing speaking inside the class helps you more to Monitor the students, give them tips, direct them to what to do and what not to do, other than practicing outside the class.
For sure.
Did you get the idea now? Did you get what we're talking about? That practicing inside the class gives you the opportunity to monitor the speaking soft skills. The speaking soft skills. Then we
Okay,
have
thank you,
relevant
Doctor.
length. What does mean relevant length? Like students speaking at a length appropriate to a situation. So, for example, if I'm asking one question, you are not supposed to answer with a whole story. It's just one simple question. So you should have a relevant length. So here, for example, I asked you, what did you do yesterday? So you're going to answer one or two sentences. You are not going to tell me because, and you're going to tell me about your mother and what happened to your brother and then what happened. So your answers should be relevant length. So it should have, the length itself should be appropriate to the situation. This is what we're teaching our students. Responding and initiating, how to respond to a certain message or to how to respond to a certain situation, and how to manage conversation. So, for example, if I'm asking you a question, what do you think about? And I'm giving you, what do you think about, for example, traveling abroad? So when you answer, you are not going to answer me like, yes, I like it, because this is not my question. See? So you need to teach your students the way they can respond and how they initiate, how they start their speaking, and how to show the others that you want maybe, to respond or you want to initiate a turn. Like, for example, by showing some gestures. Showing some gestures. Like, I traveled abroad last year. If you're gonna make like, me too, I did it, So in this case, this is a gesture or this is a sign that you want to talk and say what happened to you as well. So all these are called sub skills. Now, what does it mean repetition? What does it mean you are repeating what the others are saying? And why are you repeating? Maybe sometimes you are repeating to tell them that, yes, I understood what you said. I understood what you said. So, yes, you are repeating for this. Maybe you need to repair. What does it mean, repair? What does it mean, repair? Like, maybe you said something maybe inappropriate or unfavorable to be said or whatever, or maybe something that you may, or a kind of misunderstanding. So you need to repair what you said by saying, well, I'm sorry. Can I say something? Okay, can I just stop here to say that I didn't mean, but I meant? So here, repairing what you said. This is usually easy because you are still talking with each other. So repairing is very important if maybe you said something maybe inappropriate, or maybe you say something, yes, if there is misunderstanding that like what your colleague said. And there are some techniques for this. Again, what I'm saying here, just brief, but there are some techniques. Of course, you need to teach them that we have range of words and grammar, like what you said. Yes, while teaching them speaking, these are some of the sub skills: the appropriate structure, the appropriate range, the range of words and grammar that they should use. Maybe task specific vocabulary. So, for example, if you're telling a story, it's totally different from writing, or sorry, from maybe debating. So here, this is different. So we have task-specific vocabulary, and students should be aware of it. Finally, discourse markers. Discourse markers, they are markers, maybe they want to start your speech, like, I mean, well, for me, in my opinion, this is discourse markers. Anyway, so it means I want to end what I'm saying. Anyway, so these are called discourse markers. When are you going to say them? How can you start your speech? How can you interrupt? How can you tell the others that I want to end the conversation? All these are called discourse markers. So what I said here are, or what I mentioned here are the 10 sub skills of speaking. 10 sub skills of speaking. Now we need to go to check some activities Of course, not for all sub skills, but for the majority, or maybe some of them. Let's say some of the sub skills. Or I selected, you know what, I believe that they are really important for you as teachers. They are really important for you as teachers. So what are the sub skills again? Who can remind me? What are they?
Pronunciation, fluency,
Turn taking.
Turn taking,
fluency,
responding and initiating, yes,
fluency,
appropriacy,
preparing,
yes. Debating. No,
pronunciation.
is debating one of the sub skills?
No,
No, they're not.
debating.
no,
Debating, no.
pronunciation,
Pronunciation, yes. Okay, what else?
Functional language,
Words and grammar.
Okay,
Appropriacy.
exactly. Appropriacy, yes. Any other?
Words and grammar.
Sorry?
discourse marks,
Discourse markers, yes. Thank you, the last one. So
functional language.
Words and grammar.
words and yes, range of words and grammar. So before we check the activities, can you tell me if you think that these sub skills are really important or not? Before we check the activities and we talk about activities and how can we improve them. Can you tell me? So raise your hand, please. Raise your hand if you want to talk. Don't talk together like what happened last time, because now we have a long turn. So don't talk together. Yes. If you want to talk, please raise your hand. Do you think that these sub skills are important for students and why? Okay, Hannah Saad.
I think it's very important
Hannah.
because it will help me. Can you listen to me? Yes, can you listen to me?
Yes, I can hear you, my dear. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, okay. I think it's very important because it will help me as a teacher to manage the classroom and make them, as you said, involved in these activities. Any activities I will make with them or I will do with them, they will be a very respectable person or people inside the classroom. They will engage with each other, and we will like make our educational process highly.
Okay.
Very good.
Miss Hannah.
Yes,
Thank you
you're
so
welcome.
much. Appreciate it. Yes. Guys, I need to hear to others, please. Not only Mr. Ahmed and Miss Hannah. Would you please tell me if you really believe that these sub skills are really important for you as teachers or for the students? Yes or no? Mr. Ahmed, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Doctor. So yes, those sub skills are really important because they would set up the general atmosphere for learning, and it will get each and every student the optimum level of learning experience. Because once we have interruptions, we don't have organization of the class, we don't have turn takings, we don't have a sort of arrangement of how the class go and the workflow of the class. The learning experience is going to be highly affected. So having that being done and doing that inside the class, and this also applies to online learning, not also only class learning. It would get us to deliver the biggest or the largest amount of information in the most effective way possible.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, Mr. Haney, thank you so much. Yes, those who are participating, I'll give them extra certificate, by the way. A certificate for participating in class. Yes. So now so far I have Miss Hannah, Mr. Ahmed, and Miss Aya. And those who I guess talked. Let's listen to others. Tahani.
Okay, I think all these sub-activities are very
Skills.
important.
Sub skills.
Sub-skills, sorry, are very important to me as a teacher, as it make me use appropriate structures with the students inside the classroom. And it's also very important to students. It gives students the opportunity to practice the language itself. And this is the main purpose of teaching.
And it helps you now as a teacher, it helps the students to practice the language more efficiently outside the class. Because now
Yes.
you teach them inside the class to be well qualified to practice and communicate
And then
outside the.
outside, yes, outside the classroom.
So they will understand what does it mean turn taking. They will understand what does it mean fluency. They will understand all these sub skills. And of course, as I said before, we are not teaching them these sub skills by telling them. Today, we are going to work on some ideas for turn taking. First, I show them a conversation. First, I let them listen. Then I tell them or I analyze. So you model exactly. You model, then you tell them. They need to know, or they need to know what you are doing. They need to know what you are doing. You see? But again, you need first to tell them, yes, we are today here to, yes, they need to know what they're doing. I mean, the objective of the activity, they need to know it. But before doing this, you have to just to show and then tell them, so today we are here to improve or to work on the fluency. Ms. Heba, go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Dr. Muslim, Dr. Heba.
Good evening, my dear. Hello.
These skills or sub-skills have a great impact on language acquisition, right?
Exactly.
Also, it can build a great bond between the teacher and among the students themselves.
Exactly. Because they are communicating with each other and they are communicating with the teacher. So yes, of course, this, yes, you know, this builds what's called rapport between the teacher and the student. Exactly.
Amazing. And make our students feel safe inside the class.
Exactly. You know, one of criteria, but of course not in all schools, but one of the criteria that some schools, applies is, do you have a safe learning environment or not?
Yes, this is one of elite control.
Yes, a safe learning environment. What does mean safe? That the students feel safe to talk, okay, with each other and with you, without being threatened that you're going maybe to shout at them, or you're telling them, no, you don't have to talk, or this is not appropriate in class, or whatever. So you need to have a safe learning environment that each and every student is taking his opportunity, to participate in class. You see, so this is again important. Okay, so what are let's talk about some activities for improving. Mr. Hani, wanna
Yes,
add
can I add something, Doctor?
Sure.
I'm so sorry. I think these sub skills will also help the student to feel comfort and to feel relaxed. And the students hate to speak, or they feel that the speaking skill is very, very difficult for them, even inside the classroom or also outside the classroom. I
Yes.
think these sub skills will give them a platform to how to speak.
Yes, this is very nice. Thank you so much, Mr. Hani. I do appreciate your point of view. Thank you so much. And I do agree with you. So let's talk about some activities for improving fluency. Of course, there are a lot. I'm going to focus on some of them. But the first one here is called selling objects. What does it mean, selling objects? Do you know this activity? Okay, so let's go quickly through it and read it. Selling objects means, of course, there is an objective here to improve fluency by engaging students in a communicative task where they practice persuasive speaking, creativity, and spontaneous interaction. So you're going to give your students, some objects and try to be creative. Try to be creative. Maybe, and ask them, to be creative. For example, you can give them a pen, a coin, a notebook, a paper clip, whatever. And you explain that they need to sell this object for an exaggerated price. Okay. And you allow your students to think in maybe groups, to think in pairs, do whatever you want. And now they are trying to speak, okay? And they are trying to sell the object and persuade the others to buy this object. So they can work in pairs and you can monitor. They can work in groups again, so they can work in groups, they can work in pairs, and you can vote for finally for the best. So for example, paper clip. This is it's not an ordinary paper clip. It's made of titanium and belonged to Albert Einstein. It holds, you see here? Can you see how the students is trying to persuade the other that this paper clip is so precious that it really deserves the $100? Did you get the idea? So here the students are going to speak fluently, or we're going to focus here on fluency. They're going to talk and speak and persuade each other. And then the buyer is going to say, how can you prove it belongs to Einstein? Does it work for creative people or only scientists? So here is an example. So selling what? Selling objects. In this case, well, we can also ask students another version of this. Ask students to work in groups, and then choose a representative of each group, and he or she can come in front of the class and they start selling their objects. You see, so the students here are speaking. Fluently. So here we focus, as we said, on fluency. They're speaking, they're expressing themselves, they're talking, they're trying to find ideas. And here we are focusing on, yes, the higher order thinking skills, as you said, creativity. So you are not only improving sub skills, but you are working on the higher order thinking skills, which is create, apply, relate. So what do you think of this activity to improve imagination? Okay. What do you think of this activity to improve fluency and at the same time persuasive techniques? Okay. And you need, and again, this is spontaneous interaction. So it means that they are talking with each other and they are interacting with each other in a communicative manner. So what do you think of this activity? Tell me. And of course, you should give rubric. So here is a rubric to evaluate your students. Here is a rubric, you see. What do you think of giving the students a rubric, even if they are young learners? Of course, I'm talking about adults here. But what about giving rubric to the students? Do you think it's important to give rubrics to the students?
Sure, it's an effective way to let them do the same.
Is it
And
about, yes, but why are we giving
they
them
need,
rubric?
Doctor, they need it so much because they need to make to have a template to do the same. They have
Well,
to
it's
know
not a
the steps
template,
they are
my
gonna
dear.
follow.
It's not a template to do the same. This is not a rubric. It's not a rubric doesn't mean they're doing the same. It's not a template. It's not a model.
I mean, just
كمان
the
there is a
steps they are
difference.
gonna follow. I mean,
كمان
just the steps, the way they are gonna follow, the technique.
there are no techniques here, my dear. The rubric doesn't mean model. There's a difference between a rubric and model.
Okay, what do you mean by rubric, Doctor?
A rubric means the criteria you are evaluating your students on.
Okay.
This is what I mean by rubric. So, for example, fluency. So you're gonna give them 4 if they speak smoothly with no hesitation. So this is one thing. Good if he speaks with minor pauses or hesitations. Needs improvement if he hesitates a lot. So the students need rubric to know how they are evaluated.
It's very important too. It's very important, Doctor.
It is. Yes, Miss Dr. Azza, go ahead.
Yes,
Thank
to be
you.
aware of what they are assessed, or they will be assessed.
The way they are assessed. Yes, Dr. Azza, go ahead.
Yes, I think rubric is important for young students because I make rubric to evaluate them, to to know their weakness and their strengths about fluency, pronunciation, hesitation, as you said.
The good thing about rubric and that even for young learners, you can just give them a very, very, very simple rubric. You can even use, emojis. You can use for example, excellent, emoji for excellent, emoji for whatever. So even for young students, you need to give them some, criteria, standards, معايير انت بتقيمهم عليها. ما ينفعش ما نديلهمش روبريك حتى الصغيرين، لانه هو بيتعلم. انا كمان احنا بنعمل الروبريك ده ويوز ده روبريك to help them peer correct each other. And sometimes I want to tell, I want to just maybe ask Ahmed to peer correct Azza. So how is Ahmed is going to peer correct her? Unless Ahmed and Azza, both of them have a rubric. So rubric is crucially important. Okay. And if you want to use AI to generate rubric, you can use many, of course, you can use ChatGPT to generate rubric, and you can use Magic. I'm typing here in the chat box. Of course, all of you know about Magic School. So in Magic School, you will find rubric, you will find one of the tools. Of course, you know Magic School, everyone, right? Hello? So Magic School is a platform or is a website for teachers, and there you can find tools for generating rubric. Just tell this tool what's your topic, and it will generate a rubric for you. So, and again, you can ask ChatGPT or any chatbot. You give ChatGPT the activity, and you ask ChatGPT to give you a rubric. Are you following؟ واخدين بالكم يا جماعة احنا بنقول ايه؟ فعشان كده بقول لكم الروبريك ده مهم جدا، ما ينفعش ما نعملش اكتيفيتي من غير روبريك. اوكي. اي اكتيفيتي هنعمل speaking، هتعمل listening، هتعمل reading، هتعمل writing، it should have a rubric for you as a teacher. First of all, to know how to evaluate and assess your students, and for the students as well to know how they're assessed. Okay. Mr. Ahmed.
I'm sorry, Doctor, for the interruption, but one of the other or additional benefits of a rubric is basically to check progress of each and every student every now and then. Because, for example, let's say after a couple of months of teaching a beginner level student English, I show them, hey, this was your rubric a couple of months ago. You had weaknesses in this point and that one, and upon today's assessment, we have reached these levels. So that would show that, like, other than evaluating their progress, it would also show how their learning path is going, and maybe would even affect our methodology to, you know, focus on another point, or like, hey, you reach your
You may update, yes. You may update, yes, you may update, as you said, you may update your curriculum, you may update your way of teaching, you may update your way of approaching the students. Yes, of course, your strategies, you may update, yes, of course, you may change. And again, it's important for the students to know their progress. So yes, I started with at this level, then I improved, then I maybe I had some problems, so I again fell down again, then I improved. So yes, it happened. So we need this for reports even. We need this again for reporting the students. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Now let's talk about another activity again for improving fluency. It's called the cued chain stories. Cued chain stories. So in cued chain stories, to improve the any ideas from even the name of the activity? What does it mean?
Yes.
Can we listen
So
to someone else, Ahmed? Ahmed, wait a minute. Can we listen to someone else? Huh? Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Dr. Heba. I think this activity, when we start with a sentence or with a word, and then another one will continue.
Yes.
And so on.
Yes.
So we can
it's
make
a
the story
chain
like
story.
that.
Yes, it's kind of chain story. And
Chain
again,
story,
it
yeah.
improves fluency. So you can start with a starter. Okay, you as a teacher can start, and then you can point to other students to continue, or you can ask one of the students to start and speak continuously. And once he stopped, and he couldn't continue, so one of the students should follow and should continue the story. So in this case, you can point, as I said, to the students or let them select themselves. You see? So this is the chain story. You are talking, and again, so once upon a time, maybe I had a dream. Last night, I had a dream. I dreamt of, and you started, and then you're out of ideas. You have no ideas to continue. So other students may continue. So we may have this as chain stories. And again, I like to play a nice game. Maybe those who attended with me some face-to-face sessions, I like to do this game, but in a different way. How? I like, to have, let me show you what I did. Is it better to choose one of them or let them choose? Ines, it depends. It depends, on your class and the level of your students. It depends again. Let me show you how I did this activity, the chain one, but in a different way. Let me just open the presentation for you. This is another idea. I'm sorry, just 2 seconds till I. Okay, here we go. Yes. We can do what's called, it doesn't have this name spider web, but I I like to call it like this. When you have, your students having one, this game or this idea, the spider web, when one of the students have a part, of the thread, and then when he or she is done of what he's saying, he's going to throw it to someone else till they have this spider web. Did you see it? So again, this is one way of the students communicating with each other. They're talking with each other, and at the same time, they're having fun. So what do you think? Is it a nice idea? What do you think? Is it a nice idea?
nice.
Let me know. No, you don't like it?
No, it's very nice.
It is nice, yes, and at the same time, it's it's appealing for the students. They like it, and
Yeah, of course.
they like this idea.
Yeah.
Yes, it's nice, and we made it in a workshop between teachers, for teachers.
Yes, yes. I did, and we did it a lot actually, and it's nice idea. What else? You can bring, a box. So I don't have the photos. I tried to find the photos of this workshop. It was in one of the conferences, but I didn't find the photos. Did anyone attend at the conference here? Because I had a session there and I made this.
Yes. Me?
Dalia?
Yes.
You were there, Dalia? So
Yes, I
had the box.
was there.
Remember the box that we had?
I think so, yeah.
So we had a box, okay? And again, from this box was full of many items. So, for example, one of these items, let's say this one, anything, okay? So I'm gonna choose one of the students, and he's going to pick an item from the box, and he's going to start, yes, telling the story. He's going to start telling a story. Then when he's done, okay, so we're gonna choose another student, or he's going to choose another student, and then he's going to choose another object from the box, and then he's going to continue the story using this object. How can they relate? It's not my problem. It's the students' now imagination.
Imagination and creativity, yeah.
Did you get the idea?
Is it like
Yes.
show and tell?
Is it difficult? Sorry? Like?
Is it like show and tell? Show and tell?
Similar to, yes. So you're going to pick an item from the box, and you're going to use it in your story. So it's a story again.
Yes, I think it's amusing game.
Yes, did you get it? Did you get it?
Yes,
No?
get it.
Okay, so guys, again, it's a box. بصوا هو صندوق، والصندوق ده بنبقى حاطين فيه different items. فكل واحد من ال students بيجي ياخد one item. For example, he's going to tell a story using this item. So I was walking in the street and it happened that I found, and then I went to, and so on. You got me? No, I'm talking about the box. I'm talking about the idea of the box, not the spider web. but I'm talking about this. And then he's going to tell a story spontaneously, whatever comes to his or her mind. Then another student, he's going to nominate another student. He's going to come and he's closing his eyes and opening the box and he's going to take another item. Okay, and he's going to continue telling the same story based on the second item. فهمتوا
He
الفكرة؟
has to apply he has to apply the item or the object to be
Yes, to be
yes,
part of
to
the
be
story.
prepared for the story, yes.
Yes, to be part of the story. To be part of the story. So in this case, you're engaging the students. What do you think?
Amazing.
Yes.
Again,
Yes,
it's
it's
not unique,
amazing.
right?
Yes, very nice.
So here, students are speaking. Students are speaking.
And create
Yes, and yes. So and here we are focusing on again their fluency and they are communicating with each other. Do you
and
think
not only
it's
this, and their imagination also, doctor, and their creativity.
exactly. Fan and pick can be used for different sub skills, but I'm gonna use it here. I'm gonna refer back to it again, but just let me explain it now. So what does it mean, fan and pick? Fan and pick.
Fan and pick, can I say?
Yes, sure.
Can I say it?
Fan and pick, we have we cut some strips of paper.
Okay.
Okay. And then we make it like a fan.
Okay.
Then the children or the students, when I make them into groups, then one of them will come and pick one of the papers.
Okay.
So yes, because it looks like a fan. When I hold it, it looks like a fan. Okay. And they don't see what's written in the paper. Because,
okay. And
it's and one of everyone will come and pick one, and then he will read the paper and then answer, or whatever was written in the paper, he will do it.
This is not fan and pick, my dear. This is only, or this is not fan and pick that Kagan structure actually talked about. It's similar to, or maybe you يعني اللي انت عملتيه ده your own way يعني of showing fan and pick. Your own way of showing fan and pick. But fan and pick is a bit different.
Like a spin wheel?
So like a wheel?
Yes, like a spin.
No, it's okay.
So a group of four. The first one will hold the four fans and
four
the
paper. I mean the 4 pieces of paper.
The first one will hold them. Then the second one will pick and read the question. The third one will read the question, answer the question, and the fourth one will wrap up or make an open discussion
or gives feedback about the question.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. So this is fan and pick. This is fan and pick. You have, 4 cards. We have 4 cards. And we are dividing the students into groups. Each group has 4 students. If you wanna make it 5, it's okay. By the way, because again, it's only your call and it's your task, and you can add up to the task. First student is going to hold the 4 cards, and second student is going to take a paper. It has a question. So for example, what did you do last weekend? And then he's going to read the question. Third student is going to answer the question, and the fourth student is going to give comment, or is going to maybe maybe correct, maybe giving a comment, whatever, on the fourth question. Then after that, student number 1 is going to give the fan to student number 2. لان مش معقول student number 1 يبقى وظيفته طول الوقت ان هو ماسك الفان، صح؟ بعد كده student number 2 هو اللي هيمسك الفان. بعد كده مين اللي هياخد منه بقى student number 1 3 and 4. فهمتوا الفكره بتاعت فان اند بيك؟ ودي طبعا فكره من زمان جدا بتاعت كيجن ده عامل حاجه اسمها كيجن structures which are used for cooperative learning. You got me? So again, this is fan and pick. فهمتوها؟ اسمها ايه؟ fan and pick. Again, okay, again يا إيناس بصي. يعني ايناس give me كده يعني few seconds انا هجيب لكم cards كده وافهمكم تاني، بس give me يعني معلش ادوني دقيقة بس اجيب الكاردز هما جنبي هنا اجيبهم لكم وافهمهم لكم حاجة. just a minute just a minute. So guys, I'm really sorry for being late. I'm sorry. But these are the cards. I tried to find some cards to help you understand what I'm talking about. So these are the cards. Can you see these cards? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Can you see them now? Those who didn't understand. Can you see the cards? Yes. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So here, student number 1 is going to take one card. Sorry, student number 1 is going to hold the 4 cards. Now, student number 2 is going to take one card. This card has a question. So student number 2 is going to read the question. Then student number 3 is going to answer the question. Student number 4 is going to give comment on the question. Did you understand? And then student number 1 is going to give the cards to student number 2. Did you understand now? And then it will go like this. فهمتوا يا جماعة الناس الناس اللي ما كانتش فاهمة؟ فهمتوا؟ يا جماعة قولوا لي فهمتوا ولا لا؟ يا شباب طب قولوا لي فهمتوا ولا ما فهمتوش عشان نتنقل لاكتيفيتي تانية. فهمنا؟ لا برضو مش فاهمين؟ طب حد يقول لي فهمنا ما فهمناش نتكلم.
We understand, yes, doctor.
خلاص you got it?
Yes,
Got
yes.
it? Okay.
Yeah, thank
Thank you, Miss Ines. Okay. طب another activity for Kagan which I really like and I'm gonna tell you again for improving fluency or we can use it for different sub skills. This activity is called inside outside circle. Inside outside circle. But I like to call it actually I like to call it the clock says. I like to call it the clock says. Okay, now I'm going to show you, it was one of the workshops. We have two circles, as inside circle and you see here, outside circle. One of them is going anti-clockwise and the other is going clockwise. فهمتوا ازاي؟ وبعدين, once we are done, each one of them is going to find a partner. يعني one from the small circle is going to find a partner in the big circle. Then each one of them has a card. So they're going to talk with each other. Each one has a card, each one has a question. And they're asking and interacting together. So what do you think of this activity? Would it be fun in class? Would it be fun in class? Yes or no? Let me know. Huh? Do you like it? Would it be fun in class? Nice?
Yes.
Yes.
يعني
Much a lot.
I'm showing you it was here with the teachers and they had fun. يعني بصوا كده
Yes.
هم كانوا دول teachers واتبسطوا جدا وكانوا مبسوطين وقاعدين يلعبوا وبيلفوا حوالين بعض وكانوا مبسوطين جدا. Each time you have a different partner. Each time you will have a different partner. By the way, it's not only about speaking. You can do it again in grammar. You can do it if you're teaching vocabulary. Yes, you can do it for whatever you want. But
Is
I'm
that
telling
creating
you now, it's one idea. Sorry.
that creates healthy noise?
Exactly. This is the healthy noise. Exactly. This is the noise that you really appreciate if you hear it in class. Thank you, Heba. Exactly. So what do you think? Is it nice activity? Yes or no?
Yes, it's very nice.
Do you like it?
Yes, a
So
lot.
it's called, originally it's called inside outside circle. بس أنا I usually take the activities and improve them. يعني أنا دايما بحب أخد الأكتيفيتي وأغير فيها. هي نفس inside and outside circle بس أنا مسميها إيه؟ مسميها the clock says.
The clock says.
That's it. Again, this is Kagan structures. كمان انتوا لو الناس اللي ما تعرفش Kagan structures دوروا عليها Kagan structures وابدأوا اشتغلوا فيها وهتشوفوا ان Kagan structures دي very very important and very useful activities in class. الناس اللي مش بتستخدمها Kagan structures are very important. تمام؟ طيب تعالوا نشوف activity تانية. نشوف activities تانية. زهقتوا ولا نكمل؟ زهقتوا ولا
لا
ناخد activities
جو
كمان؟
اهيد يا دكتور
تقولوا لي
مع
زهقنا
حضرتك.
خلاص. زهقنا؟
نو يا دكتور جو اهيد
نكمل؟
complete. Yes.
Okay. طيب عندنا other activity. We have another activity here for improving fluency, which is called fluency board game. Fluency board game. What does it mean, fluency board game? Fluency board game simply means that you have a board game. عندك board game. عارفين يعني ايه board game؟ عارفين البورد جيم يعني ايه؟ شباب عارفين البورد جيم؟ اللي تبقى فيها سكويرز كده تبقى فيها
زي
سكوير
بنك الحظ والسلم والتعبان.
شبه السلم والتعبان بالظبط شبه السلم والتعبان بس دي بورد جيم one of the board games يعني واحدة من البورد جيمز هي السنيك اند لادر واحنا منهم يعني فالبورد جيم دي بتبقى فيها سكويرز كده فاحنا المفروض هنا الاكتيفيتي دي بتقول انه هيبقى فيه دايس وهم هيلعبوا بالدايس و again at each square there will be a topic that they are going to talk about. Did you get it? So at each square they are going to talk about. هنا الاكتيفيتي ده بيقول ايه ان انت ممكن تقسم الكلاس بتاعك into groups وتدي for each group a photocopy of the board. So in this case you will be having different board games in class and you will be having different groups talking. انتوا عارفين البورد جيم ده بنرمي الدايس ولما نرمي الدايس بيبقى فيه 3 فتروح عند رقم 3 وهوريكم اكزامبل دلوقتي تروح عند رقم 3 تلاقي عندك ايه؟ تلاقي عندك topic to talk about. So you start to talk about this topic continuously. فهمتوا يا جماعة البورد جيم يعني ايه ولا ما فهمتوش؟ فهمتوا يعني ايه بورد جيم؟ Yes or no؟ مش فاهمين قوي؟ مش هوريكم اكزامبل طيب عشان يبقى واضح؟ طيب لا مش ستوري تيلينج هم مش بيحكوا ستوري يا ايناس هم they are talking about different subjects different topics هو مش بيحكي ستوري هو بيتكلم في different topics يعني maybe مثلا talk about your last holiday talk about I'll show you now snake and ladder بصوا هوريها لكم دلوقتي وهبعتها لكم حتى لو انتوا حابين ان انتوا يعني to photocopy it and do it in your classes بصوا كده اهو ده example اهو لا مش short sentences هم لازم يتكلموا مش short sentences هو لازم يتكلم ما short sentences يبقى فين بقى لا he has to talk continuously yes بصوا كده ده example لو شايفينه ده example هيبقى فيه دايس مثلا فهو لما هيروح بالدايس مثلا عند number say number 20 number whatever so there is what there is ده الستارت في topic في كل مرة هو بيتكلم فهمتوا الفكرة؟ ده كده سناك اند لادر هبعتها لكم دي برضو علشان ممكن تحبوا تطبعوها وفي بورد جيم عادية بقى يعني في بورد جيم عادية انت ممكن تشتغل بيها مش لازم سناك اند لادر يعني في حاجات كتيرة يعني هوريكم كده بصوا بقيتها بصوا ازاي بقيت شايفينها ده بقيت الاكتيفيتي اهو شايفينه ده الدايس شايفين الدايس ودي الكاردز اللي موجودة عند كل نمبر. عند كل نمبر في كاردز. يعني مثلا what did you do today talk for 30 seconds، ومفروض ان انت ما تعديش ال 30 seconds بتوعك دول. ايه تاني كمان؟ describe a country you want to visit one day try to talk for 30 seconds. فعند كل رقم انت بتلاقي ايه؟ بتلاقي topic to talk about. طيب الناس اللي كانت بتتكلم ومن سيربح المليون it's like Jeopardy. yes ده نوع من البورد جيمز طبعا. جيبردي ومن سيربح المليون دي نوع من البورد يعني، بس بورد جيم لا، من سيربح المليون مش بورد جيم، لكن شبهها يعني. لا جيبردي ومن سيربح المليون دي أسئلة، لكن البورد جيم دي بتبقى زي بورد كده وعليها بقى ايه، وعليها سكويرز وانت بتسأل. هي دي البورد جيم.
انا كان قصدي يا دكتور ان هي فكره الاسئله يعني
فكرة الأسئلة it's okay. يعني like the question then. yes you're right yes.
في
طيب
حضرتك في جيبري بيبقى في جدول كده، في مثلا انا هختار الفئه الفلانيه بفلوس دي، فراح سأله
بس
سؤال
ده مش كده، لا ده مش كده، ده انت بكل رقم تحتيه، كل رقم تحتيه كارد.
اوكي.
فانت لما بتروح عند رقم 20 بتلاقي الكارد ده، لما بتروح
Yes.
عند رقم مثلا 30 بتلاقي describe a country you want to visit one day try to talk for 30 seconds.
اوكي. So like challenges.
فده كده اسمه ايه؟ ده كده اسمها بورد ايه جيم. وان نوع من البورد جيم هو مثلا زي سنيك اند لاندر. يس كل رقم بالظبط كل رقم تحته سؤال. فايه رأيكم في activity زي دي for improving again fluency؟
Yes it's great.
You like it؟ انا هبعت لكم هبعت
Yes,
لكم
it's
كل
very
الماتيريال دي تبقى معاكم، بحيث ان انتوا برضو لو تحبوا ان انتوا to photocopy it and you use it in your classes no problem. في كمان activity عن طبعا بمناسبة اقتراب وانا طبعا مش مع الموضوع ده، بس لو انتوا في المدارس اللي بتحب تحتفل ايه اللي جاي قريب عندنا؟ ايه اللي جاي قريب يا شباب؟
كريسماس.
الكريسماس. انا مش بحب احتفل بيه، ما بحبش اتكلم عنه، بس في بعض المدارس بتنفورس التيتشرز صح. احنا لازم نحتفل بالايه، او لازم يبقى في اكتيفيتي للايه، لمثلا زي الكريسماس. ففي برضو في اكتيفيتيز وسبيكينج اكتيفيتيز برضو ممكن هبعتها لكم لو انتوا حابين تشوفوها برضو وتشتغلوا عليها لو انتوا حابين. هوريكم حاجة تانية لطيفة جدا اسمها holiday speaking activities. بصوا، ودي برضو يعني شبه كده الايه بس هي دي عبارة عن كاردز، بس احنا برضو ممكن نشتغل بيها زي الايه بالدايس. بصوا كده I'm sorry I didn't share the screen. بصوا كده ده ايه اهي. بصوا كده شايفين ده؟ دي اسمها ايه؟ اسمها
holiday activity
board
برضه.
game for holiday activity.
holiday activity.
بصوا دي cards موجودة. you pick a card you pick up card and you talk about it. وممكن نلعبها بالدايس، يعني نخليها أرقام ونلعبها بالدايس، بحيث إن هما ما برضو ما يختاروش، كل واحد يختار بمزاجه، يختارها بالإيه. هي زي اللعبة اللي فاتت، ما هي بورد جيم أهي، احنا كاتبين اسمها يا إيناس أهو. it's board game it's kind of board game. دي holiday activities مثلا، أنت بقى ممكن تغيرها لأي topic you want to talk about. what do you think? What do you think of these activities for improving fluency؟ ايه رأيكم في الاكتيفيتيز دي؟ You like them؟
wonderful.
Oh, great.
هناخد احنا يعني انا as I said ان انا I tried as much as I can ان انا to give you ايه as many activities as I can، بحيث ان انتوا تقدروا تستخدموها فين في الايه في السيشنز ايه السيشنز عندك. طيب let me show you another or let's talk about another sub skill. Let's talk about another sub skill. طبعا زي ما انا قلت لكم انا I cannot cover all the sub skills in one ايه in one session. It's impossible يعني، بس I'm trying as much as I can. Let's move on. So we talked about fluency. Bismillah, let me just open the PDF again. So we talked about fluency, right? We talked about fluency. So let's now talk about something else. The board game is one of the games that can help you improve your fluency. What about other games or what about other activities? Let's move to another sub-skill. I'll share my screen in a minute. I'm just opening the PDF again. It closed. Okay, so one of the activities that you can do with your students to improve the semi-planned conversation. Okay, here we are. Yes. So here we have accuracy with words and pronunciation. دي واحدة من السب سكيلز، مش كده اللي اتكلمنا عنها؟ دي واحدة من السب سكيلز اللي اتكلمنا عنها، صح يا شباب؟ اللي هي
Yes.
accuracy with words
Accuracy.
and pronunciation.
Pronunciation.
طيب, what can we do? What can we do, or what activity can we do in order to improve accuracy with words and pronunciation? One of these activities is a semi-planned conversation. What do we mean by semi-planned conversation? What do you think? What do we mean by semi?
Maybe it's a conversation between the students with the help of the teacher, like a facilitator.
Okay, what else? So semi-planned
Maybe,
conversation. This,
maybe it's
Heba, what
not a
else?
complete conversation.
Sorry?
Give students a part of the conversation and ask them to complete.
Where is the speaking here task, my dear?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, where is the speaking task, my dear? It's not a speaking task, Tahani here. It's not a speaking task. This is writing task. It's not a speaking task.
Okay.
So steps for the activity here, you introduce the topic for the conversation. So you choose, so semi-planned, it means you don't ask them to speak, or you don't let them choose their own topics. You choose, as Ms. Heba said, you choose the topic for them, okay? And you put students into pairs, as you see here. And again, you can also write down the grammar structure and vocabulary they're going to use. And
giving
in
them
this
some
case,
helping words.
yes, you are giving them, like, grammar that you're going to use and the topic that you're going to use. And you let them talk. But for example, you're telling them you're going to use past simple and you're going to use activities like watching a movie, like whatever, and you're going to use some expressions like, and you monitor and support. So first round of conversation, it's 10 minutes. Students practice the conversation. Then they're going to switch turns. They're going, so first, now A is speaking to B. Now we're going to take A to speak to C, and D is going to speak to B, and so on. So why do we do this? Because here we focus on accuracy with words and pronunciation. Because you as a teacher here is monitoring. So you have here a target language, and you want to make sure that the students now can use them. You see? So what do we call this? Semi-planned
Conversation.
Yes, we call this semi-planned conversation. Okay, now can you tell me what are the two sub skills we talked about? Fluency and
Fluency and
accuracy. Accuracy and yes, words and pronunciation. Yes, this is what we talked about. Okay, let's move to other sub skills. For example, one of the sub skills is using how can students use functions. What do we mean by students using functions? What do we mean by students using functions? What do you mean by functions here? What do I mean by functions?
Yes, doctor, as you said before, in my opinion, you may.
So here in this case, yes, you have some functions like advising, like persuading, like requesting. So these are the functions that you want your students to use in context. So in this case, what are you going to do? Role playing for a function. So the activity is called here role playing for a function. In this activity, you are going to help the students practice language function like advising, persuading, requesting through a cooperative or collaborative role play. So you are telling them that today we're going to talk about advising. You're giving them again examples of how to advise, and you let them practice.
Object seller.
I can
similar
also,
to object seller.
Excuse me?
Is it similar to object seller?
Object seller? No, object seller. You're just giving them an object and you're telling them try to sell it. But here you are giving them some functions. How can you advise? You're going to say you should, Why don't you try? If I were you, I would. So you are showing them functions. يعني suppose Miss Heba that you taught them for example, how to advise someone. In order to advise someone, we have some example, we have some structure, we have some functions, right? Like some expressions, like you should visit the doctor. Why don't you try visiting the doctor, right? If I were you, I would visit the doctor.
Thank you
Give
so much.
them the functions, you got me? And you ask them to use it in context.
Yes, amazing. Thank you.
Did you get the idea? Because now I taught them this in class. I taught them how to advise, how to persuade, how to. So here is a scenario, guys. Here is the scenario. Ask each group to create a scenario for their assigned function. So I'm going to give them the function and I'll ask them to use it in context, which means, in your group, who will be advising? The doctor. Okay, and then who will be the one who will be advised? The patient. No, parent and daughter. No, teacher and student. So who's going to choose the roles? مين اللي هيختار الroles؟ مين اللي هيختار الrole playing? You as a teacher or the students؟ مين اللي هيختار الrole playing هنا؟
Me as a teacher.
No, students. بصوا انتوا بتديلهم الفانكشنز بس. انت بتديله الفانكشن وبتقول له ايه؟ ask each group to create a scenario for their assigned function.
Yes, amazing.
يعني مين اللي هيختار؟ مين اللي هيألف السيناريو كله؟ Who's going to make
the students will make the changes. The students will make the changes.
The
Yes.
whole situation. The whole situation and the whole scenario. Who's going to make this? You or the students?
I just told them the function and give them the phrases and the questions that they use.
Nothing. Don't give them anything. Just functions.
Okay. I'm talking about the function first. For example, giving advice, and I'll ask them to create the scenario and to create the exchanges between them.
Who's going to do it again? You or the students?
The students.
And the task is to monitor them. Your task.
Okay. Okay, and if they really used the phrases I gave to show the function or not?
Yes, and you are giving them again, a rubric.
The rubric again.
You are giving them a rubric.
Now I know the meaning of rubric.
بصوا هنا use of function structure. مين اللي استخدم الفانكشن structure correctly؟ Creativity and realism. هل السيناريو اللي عملوه is highly creative and realistic or not? Fluency and confidence. Accuracy in language. بصوا أنا كل activity بعملها لازم أديلهم إيه؟ لازم أديلهم rubric.
Rubric. Yes.
لازم أديلهم rubric. لازم I show it on the board. لازم. عشان the students will be able to know how they are assessed. طب في هنا بقى another activity, selecting structure for a role play. يعني ايه selecting structure بقى for a role play? For a role play. What does it mean? يعني هنا بقى أنا بدلهم different إيه بقى؟ بصوا بدلهم different functions. وهنا you create a structure for create a list of structure for various functions. Like for example, apologizing. You give them بقى different structures for different functions and you ask them, okay, to identify which is appropriate for a certain situation. أنا بقى هديلهم different situations وهديلهم different functions. And I'm gonna tell them about which one is appropriate for which situation. Go and create the scenario.
This is amazing.
هنا هديله هنا بقى المرة دي بصوا أنا غيرت وممكن أغير. عارفين ليه؟ ممكن أغير عشان أنا حاسة إن ال level of this class needs this scaffolding. ده اسمه scaffolding. يعني scaffolding يعني أنا بعمل لهم support شوية. فأنا مديهم هنا الإيه؟ structure ومدياهم هنا situation. يعني use for example apologizing. These are the different words we use for apologizing. And then the situation, for example, a daughter is apologizing for her mother. وكريت بقى the scenario you want. طيب ده أسهل ولا أصعب من اللي فات؟
For the students are very easy.
This is easier.
Easy than the previous one.
Which
Yes,
means that maybe the level of your class needs this. The level of the students in your class need this. يعني الولاد عندك في كلاس مستواهم أقل شوية فهم محتاجين scaffolding شوية. أو
You
بعمل
will decide
أو بصوا بعمل إيه بقى؟
according to the
بعمل differentiated activities في الكلاس. يعني ممكن جروب أديله الأكتيفيتي، 2 جروبس أديهم الأكتيفيتي ده، شايفينه؟ اللي هو providing a role play for a function، و2 groups أديهم الأكتيفيتي ده. selecting structure for role play. فهمتوا الفكرة؟ فهمتوا يا جماعة ولا مش فاهمين؟ فهمتوا؟
yes
يعني
yes
depends على
we according to the standard of our or the level of our
the
students.
level of your students. Yes. And again, you can make 2 activities in the same session, which is ايه؟ بنسميه ايه؟
heterogeneous classes.
function.
بنسميه differentiation. يعني ايه differentiation؟
The difference between the students' levels.
Exactly. ان انت عندك
different levels at the
عندك
same
الليفلز
class.
بتاعهم مختلف. Some students are weak students. They need scaffolding. يعني ايه scaffolding؟ يعني they need support. فتديهم الأكتر.
دكتور هبة heterogeneous classes which has many different academic levels of the students.
Definitely. Yes. So in this case, you may do this. You got me?
Yes.
So far, so good?
Yes. Yes.
What about another what do we call it? Sub-skill. Appropriacy.
Sub-skill.
Yes.
Another sub-skill.
At the party. In this activity, you are going to tell your students, okay, choose a social gathering scenario. So, for example, you're going to choose wedding reception, maybe office party, maybe birthday party. And suppose that you are going to give tags for different or for various roles in this party. So, for example, are you going to talk to the CEO as in the same way you're talking to the waiter?
Of course not.
Of course not.
لكل مقام مقال.
بتوزع بقى. You distribute the name tags randomly to the students. Okay? And you ask them now to talk to each other. So, for example, the Queen, Your Majesty, it's an honor to meet you. How was your journey here? See? Waiter, you're talking to a teenager. Hey, what's up? The party is awesome, right? Waiter, could I get a glass of water, please? شايفين الطريقة المختلفة؟ أنا I modeled. بصوا أنا عملت إيه هنا؟ عملت لهم I modeled, I demonstrated. أنا شرحت لهم إزاي الأكتيفيتي ممكن تتكلم مع كل واحد بشكل مختلف. ليه؟ لأنه أنت المكان نفسه سوري الرول نفسه your role نفسه is different. فهمتوا؟
Yes.
فهمتوا الأكتيفيتي ولا صعبة؟
Yeah, very
Yes.
easy. Just to differentiate between the formal way and the informal way, the way you talk to your boss is different than the way you talk to your kids.
Friend.
The way
Okay.
you talk to your colleagues is different from the way to talk to your friends.
Yes, exactly. هو yes. I'm sorry, but just a minute, حبيبة. هو it's not recording. Just a minute. So, yes, as you said here, what we are doing is that we are using different roles for in the same party. But the waiter is different from the CEO, is different from celebrity, and so on. So, do you think it will be a fun activity for the students? إيه رأيكم؟
Sure.
A fun activity.
And learning at the same time.
Exactly. And again, they know how to differentiate between talking to a CEO or talking to a waiter or how the waiter is talking to the queen. You see? Do you like it? Do you feel it's
Yes.
nice? قولوا لي رأيكم.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I just want, I can send you the rest of these activities because, they're not يعني
Dr. Heba, I have a question here.
using discourse markers. Using discourse markers. Discourse markers means, for example, I can start a debate or discussion. So in order to start a debate or discussion, you're going to say, first of all, next, additionally, moreover. So you're going to give your students, some discourse markers, and you ask them to use it in debates. You see, contrasting ideas. So these are called discourse markers.
Markers.
Like the linking words that they use in writing?
Similar to linking words, similar to,
Yeah.
but again, discourse marker, it means it's it's a marker for the
Yeah.
speaker or for the listener what you are doing. So, for example, you may say, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you are hesitant. You see,
Mm.
so it depends. يعني
Yes.
yes, it shows يعني كلمة discourse marker it's a marker for the speakers. Maybe you're starting a turn, you're ending a turn. يعني مثلا ممكن تقول anyway, I need to go.
Yeah.
So when you say anyway, I need to go, this is a marker that you need to end your speech.
For
Yes.
ending the conversation.
To avoid pauses.
No, these discourse markers are not to avoid pauses. What discourse to avoid pauses? It's called fillers. لكن discourse marker دي ماركر يعني انت هتبدأي تتكلمي عن حاجة معينة، هتبدأي الترن بتاعك، هتنهي، عايزة تعملي contrast، عايزة تعملي different idea. لكن instead of pauses we call them fillers. يعني ايه مثلا؟ يعني بدل ما تقولي for example I need to go to the doctor cause I need to go to the doctor because and then you stop. فthis pause، بصوا الوقفة دي اسمها pause. فبدل ما اقف اقوم قايلة ايه I mean this is called لكن
Fillers.
Fillers.
يبقى في فرق ما بين الديسكورس ماركر وما بين الفيلر. فيلر معناها ان هو it fill the pauses of time. يعني
Yes.
بدل ما يبقى في عندك، بدل ما يبقى في وقت تسكتي فيه،
Yeah.
يعني it fills the gaps of time. فبدل ما تسكتي تقومي قايله I mean really، دي اسمها fillers. لكن discourse marker معناه ان انت it's a marker that you are going to start maybe a turn, to end a turn, to say something different, to organize. دي اسمها discourse markers.
يعني بالعربي كده نقول زي أمارة، يعني بديله أمارة لحاجة معينة مثلا.
أمارة بالظبط. هي أمارة.
جات لي كده الفكرة كده،
هي
ما اعرفش،
أمارة
بس
دي
هي
بالظبط.
حسيتها لايقة عليها قوي.
احنا كمان ممكن ندي للستودنتس عندنا حاجة اسمها thinking cards، والthinking cards دي تبقى مختلفة دايما ونخليهم يتكلموا عنها. ممكن بقى تبقى عن طريق البورد جيم، ممكن تبقى عن طريق ان انت عايز تعمل appropriacy. It depends بقى على sub skill انت عايز تعمله. فمثلا what would it be like if everything was upside down؟ هتعمل ايه لو الدنيا كلها كانت بالعكس؟ يعني صحيت الصبح لقيت الدنيا بالعكس، فهتعمل ايه؟ هتتصرف ازاي؟ ففي الحالة دي بنقول ده اسمه ايه كده؟ thinking cards. ليه بنديهم thinking cards دي؟ ليه بنديهم thinking cards؟ علشان زي ما احنا قلنا كده ان هم ايه، يفكروا بشكل مختلف. يتكلموا. ممكن كمان اوريهم بصوا صور او اوريهم فيديوز معمولة بالاي اي. يعني this one مثلا is made with AI، شايفين ده؟
Yes.
واقول لهم what is your emotion، what is your reaction، ايه رأيكم في حاجة زي كده، ونبتدي discussion مثلا. او ان انا اوري كل مجموعة فيديو وابدأ كل مجموعة اخد منها الايه الرياكشن بتاعها مثلا. او ان انا اخلي الفيديو ده as a starter for ايه for a story. ممكن اعملها الترين ستوري، صح؟ يعني ممكن اعمل ده ان هو تشين ستوري، صح ولا غلط؟
Yes.
ممكن نبدأ بيه وتبقى
Of
قصة.
course.
مش ده ممكن نبدأ بيه وتبقى قصة يا جماعة؟ ممكن
Yes.
تبدأ بيه وتبقى لايك ايه a story، وكل واحد يبدأ يكون الستوري بتاعته. فهمتوا الفكرة؟ يبقى انا ممكن استخدم فيديوز زي دي. الفيديو ده او مثلا ده برضو فيديو معمول بالاي اي، ما انا ممكن استخدمه واقول لهم what happened what do you think is happening، ايه اللي حصل، في ايه، ونبدأ نحكي او نبدأ ناخده كاكتيفيتي يتكلموا فيه. فهمتوا الافكار اللي احنا بنتكلم فيها؟ ان انت ممكن
Yes.
تستخدم كمان الايه، ممكن تستخدم الاي اي تولز في ان انت تعمل حاجات زي كده. ممكن تعمل لهم speaking challenges. زي ايه مثلا؟ تقول لهم بصوا كده how many uses can you think for the tree branch، ويبدأوا يتكلموا بقى، وتبقى مثلا انت عامل target language certain target language and you want to check with them. So for example how many uses can you، يعني ده بنسميه ايه؟ بنسميه speaking challenge. بنسميه speaking ايه؟ challenge. يعني ايه speaking challenge؟ يعني you are challenging their their thinking or their how they're gonna speak. فاقول لهم مثلا كده اهو، افتكروا بقى، قولوا لي انتوا بقى كده how many uses can we use، تستخدموا التري برانش في ايه غير ان هو مفيش اي اخبار خالص؟ عن صعب عليكم قوي؟
To hang things on them.
Okay. And
For warming.
maybe
Yeah,
Making
firewood.
furniture.
I may use them to make مثلا like a tent.
Okay. Nice. طيب
Making furniture.
بس احنا
Maybe for fence.
احنا مش
استخدام
هنقف عند ده بس، احنا مش هنقف عند ده بس، احنا هنبدأ نسألهم بقى ايه more and okay so if you have a tree branch how can you use it, can you tell us. but you ask them to speak maybe for 30 seconds about it. صح؟ ممكن نخليها في البورد جيم، ممكن نخليها conversation، ممكن نخليها مثلا for target language. انت عايز تديهم، عايز تتأكد من certain structure او كده ان هم يقدروا يستخدموه، تقول لهم استخدموه في الايه في ده. فهمتوا الافكار اللي احنا بنتكلم فيها؟ فهمتوا احنا نقصد ايه يا جماعة؟
Yes.
طيب.
To
الافكار كتيرة، الافكار بتاعت السبيكينج.
make their creativity and their imagination.
الايدياز بتاعت السبيكينج يا جماعه كتيره جدا جدا. يعني فكره السبيكينج وان انت تستخدم سبيكينج اكتيفيتيز كتيره جدا جدا. هو the thing is what are the sub skills you are trying to improve. يعني ايه هي السب سكيلز اللي انت بتحاول تنميها؟ دي بقى think بنستخدم بقى حاجات كتير. يعني let me show you كده و I'm gonna send you طبعا this الويب سايت سوري
Dr. Heba, I have a couple of questions.
اتفضلي. بس can I show you something then I listen to your question.
Sure.
بصوا ده الباوربوينت ده اسمه 5 minute speaking games. 5 minute speaking ممكن تعملوا بيه اي حاجه، ممكن بقى تعملوا بيه بصوا كام جيم مدينها لكم هنا. كام جيم؟ 31. each one بقى is up to you. يعني كل واحده فيكم it's up to you. كل واحده activity it's up to you to use it the way you want. بصوا كام activity كتير جدا جدا، منهم حاجات سهله ده odd one out، ومنهم two truth and a lie حاجات بنستخدمها، منهم حاجات مش صعبة، ومنهم حاجات لا مثلا تانج تويسترز دي سهلة مش صعبة. في حاجة اسمها ماب ادفنتشر. في حاجات سهلة وفي حاجات محتاجة ان انتوا تفكروا how can you use them in class. one word stories. you start a story with one word اهي دي زي التشين. you start a story with one word and then you continue. فهمتوا يا جماعة؟ يعني انا هبعت لكم كل الاكتيفيتيز بتاعت السبيكينج دي، بس I cannot tell you how can use it exactly in class. It's finally it's your call. يعني انت اللي هتقدر تقول انا هستخدمها ازاي او مش ازاي. فهمتوا كده؟ طيب your questions. اتفضل your question.
Okay, the first question is if I have some students who have a problem with the subject verb, who have subject verb agreement problem. So how can I deal with them?
What do you mean by subject verb agreement problem? Is this in speaking you mean or in grammar?
In speaking. Yes, and grammar. For example, they cannot use the appropriate tense.
What
Maybe
did you do? What did you used to do with them?
I'm asking.
Tell me
Okay,
what did you
practicing.
يعني tell me what did you used to do with them so I can just tell you.
I modify or I help them to correct. I correct on spot for them. So, is there any other idea?
So while they're speaking, you correct on spot?
Yes, but after they finish, they question or they speaking part or they answer.
So when they're done or while they're speaking, my question is.
No, when they are done, I repeat the question, but in the correct way.
You repeat the question, but you mean
So, sentence that he
the
is
answer.
reading.
Repeat the answer?
In a correct way. So, is there any other solution?
There are many. There are many. And I don't know what's the level of your students, what's their academic level. But one of the ideas to correct grammar in general, not only subject-verb agreement, but for me, I believe, for me, subject-verb agreement is a fatal mistake. So I never tolerate it, you see. So one way of correcting usually subject-verb agreement or any point of grammar is what you did. When you are done, okay, you can just repeat it, but in a different way. But in this case, it's kind of embarrassing the student because now you told the students that, for example, the boys are, not the boys is. So this is maybe kind of embarrassing for your students. So I believe, number one, if it's really, if it's a slip of a tongue, he said it once, don't correct it.
Yes, sure.
Once, don't correct it. So it's a slip of a tongue. Don't ever correct it. Why? Because it's a slip of a tongue. You see? But if it's, a fatal mistake that this student is doing a lot, so you may take the students, first of all, how can you correct it? Yes, when he is done, you may just say, start with, Ali, you did a great job. Thank you so much. You had an amazing conversation with each other, you see? But let me tell you about one sentence, and I just want you to tell me, is it correct or incorrect? So you are going to tell him a good sentence that he said first, and this sentence is correct. So he's gonna say, yes, it's correct. Okay, Ali, amazing. What about this sentence? You see? So you start with the positive things that he did, then you move to the mistakes or inaccuracies. So what about this, Ali? The boys in the garden or the boys in the garden is busy. So is this a correct sentence or incorrect sentence? So if he's still saying this is incorrect, so you can repeat again. So Ali, the boys, the coding correction, the way the coding fingers for correction. So the boys in the garden is or are. So you are correcting to the you are referring to the finger that has a mistake. You know this way of correcting the students. عارفة ده؟ فانت تقولوا كده is ولا are. فيبدأ هو يقوم قايل ايه؟ are. Yes, because boys are plural. You see? But if this student is really weak and needs special attention, Heba, you need to scaffold him, with maybe some sheets.
Yes, extra sheets.
Extra sheets. But if he's a good student and he made it once, don't correct it. Because it may be a slip of a tongue.
Yes, of course, I know.
And I usually don't interrupt the students while they're talking. I'm taking notes. And when they're done, I'm giving them content feedback and language feedback.
I usually do this when it's a group work. For example, if it's like a whole class speaking class or a group work, so I write down the mistakes and discuss with my students after I finish.
Yes.
Or I repeat the
But you start with the good points, not the bad ones.
Yes.
Start with the boys are in the garden, the boys in the garden are, it's totally incorrect. No. And you don't tell them. يعني مش انت اللي تقولي له الصح ايه. الافضل ان انت تعرفي منه الاول الجملة دي صح ولا غلط. فلو قال لك صح تبدأي بقى تقولي له ايه. The boys in the garden the third one so what is it. فتبدأي كده تعملي له الكودينج ده اللي هو المشكلة فين في الصابع ده. المشكلة في الغلطة دي. فهمتي ازاي؟ لكن الافضل ان انا اعمل ايه زي ما قلت لك هو اللي يقول لي الغلطه فين. بلاش او اخلي غيره يصلحها. يعني انا ممكن I show it to the whole class زي ما انت بتقولي وبعدين مين اللي يصلحها بقى؟ مين اللي هيصلحها؟ يا اما other student او the student himself. يعني this goes with everything not only ده بيبقى بيطبق على كل حاجة مش بس subject verb agreement عموما يعني.
Thank you
got
so much.
most welcome most welcome. طيب any questions for today before we end the session? Any questions?
Are all of these activities appropriate for the online classes?
Yes, why not? Well, as long as you have breakout rooms, so what's the problem? يعني طالما عندك breakout rooms فخلاص it's okay.
Yes,
يعني you
thank you
can
so much.
divide students into groups, you can divide them into pairs and it works. But of course it needs strong classroom management. هتبقى محتاجة منك classroom management and preparation and trying everything before you start. يعني تحاولي تجربي كل حاجة قبل ما تبتدي علشان تبقي متأكدة انه ده هينفع والايدياز دي هتنفع وكل ده هينفع. في طبعا عندنا اونلاين ويب سايتس كتيرة بس يمكن ما عنديش الوقت ده ممكن ابعتها لكم. في عندنا اونلاين ويب سايتس كتيرة ممكن تساعدنا طبعا ان احنا اصلا يعني for example انت you can اصلا practice speaking مع الستودنتس في الاونلاين using اي تشات بوت يتكلموا وهم يردوا عليهم. يعني احنا عندنا مثلا تشات بوت اسمه هيوم او ويب سايت اسمه هيوم اي اي. هيوم اي اي ده وظيفته ايه؟ انه انت بتدخلي تتكلمي معاه it's chatting يعني و it answers you and it gives you solutions and everything. You got me؟
Yes,
ففي
got
طبعا
it.
ويب سايتس كتيرة برضو ممكن later on ان شاء الله نبقى يعني نتكلم او نديكوا هنت ممكن ابعتها لكم بس لو عايزين تفاصيل بقى او ازاي نستخدمها ممكن نبقى نعمل سيشن تانية برضو ممكن نبعت لكم زي سيرفي كده وانتوا تقولوا لي اذا كنتوا حابين مثلا نعمل حاجة شبه كده او عايزين نشوف some websites مثلا for online learning او for using يعني activities في الاونلاين sessions وكده ممكن ان شاء الله نعمل ده بإذن الله. طيب any questions عشان محتاجين ان احنا نبعت اللينك بتاع الشهادات قبل بس ما الناس قولوا لي any questions يا شباب waiting for your questions. مفيش questions مفيش.
شكرا يا دكتور.
I hope you enjoyed the session. يا رب تكون session كانت مفيدة بالنسبة لكم و session maybe added something to ما شاء الله to your يعني knowledge and your experience hopefully إن شاء الله. قولوا لي كده يعني
Really a
did you
truthful
learn
added a lot.
session,
قولوا
and
لي
we have a lot of
حاسين ان انتوا
activities to do inside the classroom.
Yes.
اوكي يعني انا again it's not about activities يعني بس انا محتاجاكم انكم تفهموا ال strategies وال ideas more than ال activities. يعني
Yeah.
برضو ما نستخدم activities لازم برضو تبقوا ايه عارفين احنا بنستخدمها ازاي او ليه ده مهم جدا جدا. ف
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope يعني it was useful for everyone. سهرناكم.
استمتعنا والله يا دكتور، ربنا يديك الصحة يا رب.
طيب منار اتفضلي سامعاكي. اتفضلي انا بعت لكم لينك الشهادات للناس اللي عايزه تسجل في الشهادات والناس اللي هتسجل هيتبعت لها طبعا الماتيريال اللي احنا يعني اتكلمنا عنها النهارده والاكتيفيتيز والجيمز وكده ان شاء الله هتتبعت. هيبعتوا لكم اللينك بتاع التليجرام او هيبعتوها لكم بيست تو ريس اكاديمي تيم هيبعت لكم ان شاء الله باذن الله. في يوم الجمعه عاملين في بيست تو ريس عاملين ديسكاونت على الكورسز بتاعتنا عشان البلو فرايداي احنا مش هنقول بلاك ولا وايت بقى احنا عندنا بلو فرايداي. لو بلو فرايداي ليه؟ عشان احنا الايه اللوجو بتاعنا بلو فاحنا عاملين بلو فرايداي. ففي عندنا كورسز تو كورسز موجودين دلوقتي اللي هو هاو تو اي اي دبلومة ده موجود وهتاخدوا عليه ان شاء الله ديسكاونت لكل الناس اللي كانوا موجودين هنا. وكمان حتى يعني الناس اللي موجودة هنا هتاخد ديسكاونت ده بلس كمان الايه الديسكاونت بتاع يوم الجمعة يعني هتاخدوا حاجتين يعني ده للناس اللي سجلت. فانتوا لو حابين تنضموا للكورس سجلوا في الفورم وكمان تسجلوا في الفورم بتاع يوم الجمعة فهتاخدوا كده دبل دبل ديسكاونت ان شاء الله لو حابين. فالكورسز اللي موجودة دلوقتي هاو تو اي اي دبلومة دي دبلومة طويلة شوية لمدة شهرين وكورس هاو تو تيتش جرامر using AI وده حوالي 6 sessions مش طويل يعني. ف if you want to join طبعا تشرفونا وتنوروا. طيب يا
حضرتك يا دكتور معلش هنسجل في اللينك اللي حضرتك بعتها دلوقتي في الشات.
استاذنك حضرتك سجلي لو عايزه تنضمي للكورس حضرتك سجلي وهم هيتواصلوا معاكي. لو وفي ديسكاونت طبعا لحضور حضرتك معانا النهارده. ولو وبس سجلوا اساميكم عشان بس تاخدوا certificates ان شاء الله by the end of the session. فحابة اسمع فيدباك سريع كده، يعني مش thank you كده، اتعلمنا ايه؟ طب تعلمنا ايه هنطبقه؟ انا usually I like to hear feedback about ايه؟ about what are you going to use in your schools. قولوا لي بقى ايه من الحاجات اللي ممكن تستخدموها في المدرسة عندكم او تطبقوها؟ اتفضل يا مستر احمد.
Doctor, what I thought was most beneficial was the versatility of the activities that we've discussed, and not only the activities, the class management techniques, and how we should be conducting our class in an organized manner, even if we sound as if we are casual and having fun, because a teacher is always the fun guy who we always love to be with. But throughout those techniques, we would be able to conduct the class with organization in our minds that would make us, though we want the class to be fun, it would be going through a specific sequence. And I believe that time management and class sequence is one of the biggest challenges that faces each and every English as second language teacher or instructor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed. I do appreciate your words. Thank you so much. Okay, who else, guys, would like to tell me what are you going to use at your schools? هنطبق ايه؟ هنعمل ايه؟ خلينا نسمع مستر عبد الرحمن عصام كده، يعني ما سمعناش صوت حضرتك خالص. Are you here؟ يا مستر عبد الرحمن. مستر عبد الرحمن is not here. طيب let me listen to guys، يعني I don't want to choose. Raise up كده raise your hands كده و let's talk.
كنت عايزة أسأل حضرتك، نلاقي المحاضرة الشيقة الجميلة دي ريكوردد فين يعني؟
تلاقيها على Pace to Race Academy. انت عندك الاكونت بتاعنا، الاكونت
على فيسبوك ولا تليجرام؟
هي بتنزل على التليجرام، بس هتلاقينا يعني من الاول، يعني هتلاقي كل حاجة بتبقى announced على الايه، على البيج. هبعت لكم البيج برضو عشان تبقوا عارفينها، تدخلوا عليها، وبعدين هما لما بتنزل المحاضرة بيعلنوا على البيج انها نزلت وموجودة على التليجرام. فده اللينك بتاع البيج، حضرتك تنضمي ليها، وهنعلن بقى خلال يعني يومين او ثلاثة بتنزل على التليجرام ان شاء الله. الشهادات تبقى خلال يومين على البيج نفسها، يعني الشهادات هتكون على البيج ان شاء الله، والمحاضرة هتكون موجودة. انت بتسمع في المواصلات؟ طيب مش مشكلة يا عبد الرحمن. طب دي حاجة جميلة، المهم ان انت استفدت. قولي استفدت، طيب اكتب لي طيب انك استفدت. ثانك يو سو ماتش ان انت على الاقل يعني بجد والله، يعني دي حاجة جميلة جدا ان انت تكون في المواصلات وبتحاول تشغل الوقت او تتعلم في الوقت اللي انت فيه. جزاك الله خيرا، ما شاء الله، اللهم بارك. طيب اي اسئلة تانية؟ اي اسئلة؟ محدش عايز يقول اتعلم ايه؟ خلاص ماشي براحتكم. اي اسئلة تانية؟ طيب اتفضلي يا مستهاني.
Really, it's a fruitful session. I learned a lot of some sub-speaking skills, and there are some of activities I will use with my students in the classroom to improve their fluency, like storytelling, books with items or objects,
مهم.
clock says, and the holiday cards, اللي هو البورد game.
مم.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Heba.
Thank you so much, my dear. طيب Miss
I want
Dali,
to say something.
go ahead.
It was a very fruitful session as usual, Dr. Heba.
Thank you.
يعني you all the time you are giving us a lot.
Thank you.
The sub skills that I've learned today, they are something new for me to learn about, and I think they are very important to apply them with our students to enhance or to improve their speaking skills, of course.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Heba. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. طيب أنا سعيدة جدا بيكم بجد النهاردة. It was really an honor for me to have you all at the session. إن شاء الله قريبا هيبقى فيه عندنا event مهم قوي Sunday، هنعلن عنه قريب جدا إن شاء الله، يمكن بكرة. هنعلن عن ايفنت مهم جدا ان شاء الله، هيبقى on Sunday. اتمنى ان انتوا كلكم تحضروا باذن الله. What else؟ بس thank you again for being here. Many of you ما شاء الله are amazing ما شاء الله teachers, and they have ما شاء الله huge experience. فhopefully إن شاء الله this session. عايزة تسجلي اسمك في فين الشهادة؟ اتفضلي اللينك بتاع الشهادات اهو. الناس اللي ما سجلوش في الشهادات يا جماعة بليز سجلوا، عشان بس هتلاقوا الشهادات فين. معلش بعد إذنكم ادخلوا على Pace to Race Academy عشان to find إن شاء الله your
دكتور هبة.
yes.
دكتور بس هو سؤال، هو طبعا يعني حضرتك مشكورة الجزء بتاع الاكتيفيتيز، حضرتك فتحتي دماغنا لحاجات جديدة وحاجات ممكن احنا نستلهم منها. بس الفكرة برضو تاني، هل في ريسورس حضرتك تقدري ترشحوا لنا او ويب سايت غير توينكل يكون مصدر للاكتيفيتيز، لان هي دي اللي بتبقى بتفرق معانا في التطبيق جوه الكلاس روم.
بصي هو توينكل مش ويب سايت للسبيكينج اكتيفيتيز، يعني هو ويب سايت لكل حاجة. لكن انت
وممكن اخد منه.
اه طبعا بناخد من توينكل، بس في ISL كولكتيف من الويب سايتس الحلوة جدا جدا اللي عليها اكتيفيتيز كتيرة جدا لكل حاجة اهي. ISL كولكتيف. ISL كولكتيف ده يا جماعة عليه اكتيفيتيز كتيرة جدا جدا لكل هو mainly للانجلش تيتشرز، بس في other teachers بياخدوه يستخدموه ليهم. في ISL كولكتيف ده عليه اكتيفيتيز كتيرة جدا، هي عليه باوربوينت برزنتيشنز وعليه PDF وعليه ورك شيتس. all of them are free, you can just download them. ف ISL كولكتيف من الويب سايتس اللي عليها اكتيفيتيز حلوة جدا وكتيرة. استخدام اصلا انك تستخدمي اي تشات بوت وتسأليه على الاكتيفيتيز اللي ممكن تعمليها، فده كمان بيساعد. لو بتستخدمي اي تشات بوت like ChatGPT for example and you have an activity or you have a class today and you need a creative activity for this class or for this target language. So consult ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to be creative, and then ask ChatGPT to give you steps and objective and rubric. It will give you everything.
تمام، يعني نعتمد على الويب سايتس اكتر من الكتب يعني، لكن ما فيش كتاب ممكن نعتمد عليه.
ما عادش حد بيعتمد عليه، يعني انا مش بشوف اللي هو، يعني انا مثلا عندي كتاب بتاع how to teach speaking ده، يعني خلاص بستخدمه كتير. يعني بقيت ادور لان انا خلاص بقيت عارفه how to teach speaking وعارفه السب سكيلز اللي بشتغل عليها. improving بقى يعني انا دلوقتي بحاول ان انا زي ما قلت لك كده ادور، يعني مثلا كيجن ستراكشر ده من الكتب الحلوه جدا جدا اهو. structures اسمه هقول لك اسمه، لا ما اسموش كيجن ستراكشر، اسمه cooperative learning. بصي مش عارفه افتكر اسمه بالظبط، بس هو cooperative learning و
فور كيجن
جنبه for كيجنز I guess. ده رائع، يعني الكتاب ده رائع. كيجن لان كيجن اهو لان هو مليان اكتيفيتيز بقى كلها ليها علاقه بايه، بالكوبرتيف ليرنينج. بتقدري تعمليها في السبيكينج وفي الريدنج وفي الرايتنج وفي الليسننج. فكوبرتيف ليرنينج بتاع كيجن ده رائع. انت
كيجن
دورتي حتى على كيجن ستراكشرز اصلا كده هتلاقي حاجات كتيره جدا جدا عنها. ده مليان اكتيفيتيز اصلا الكتاب ده يعني. فانا مش
تمام
بقول ان الكتب لا، بس بقول ان الكتب دلوقتي ما بقتش يعني the only resource.
تمام
only resource. فانت ممكن تبصي على activities على الويب سايتس، ممكن زي ما قلت لك تستخدمي شات جي بي تي، ممكن
شات جي
تستخدمي
بي تي.
ممكن تستخدموا ويب سايت حلو قوي. الويب سايت ده اسمه perplexity. perplexity ده انت لما بتكتبي عليه او بتدوري عليه على التوبيك اللي انت عايزاه بيديكي كمان other suggestions. فاجان this is nice very nice انك تلاقي topic وتدوري على حاجة هو يديكي suggestions تانية ويديكي ideas تانية.
زي نظام بعمل تailoring
لا
للاكتيفيتي.
هو بيديكي following up، يعني انت مثلا بتدي له idea، هو بيديكي following up ideas وبيديكي following up suggestions كده على التوبيك اللي انت سألتي عليه. ف...
تمام
فده ممكن. وفي بقى
دكتور هبة.
كتب كتيرة، مثلا في كتب كتير حاجة اسمها speaking activities مثلا. مثلا في بوكس اسمها speaking activities، فدي برضو الحاجات اللي ايه اللي ممكن انت ايه تدوري فيها على activities. بس زي ما قلت لك يعني الموست بقى الحاجات اللي هي بتبقى most up to dated او updated، الحاجات اللي هي بتبقى موجودة بقى اونلاين دلوقتي.
تمام
دي
احنا
اكتر من الكتب يعني.
ماشي تمام، شكرا يا دكتور وشاكرين مجهود حضرتك، وان شاء الله زي ما حضرتك عودتينا هيبقى الريكوردينج برضو على التليجرام.
يبقى على التليجرام بإذن الله ان شاء الله
خلاص.
خلال بإذن الله.
طب دكتور السيشن اللي جاي هتبقى ايه بقى؟
السيشن اللي جاية مفاجأة بقى، بتاعت يوم الأحد مفاجأة، ويوم الثلاث في واحدة الأحد وفي واحدة الثلاث، حلوين، والاثنين جنرال لكل الناس هيحضروهم إن شاء الله بإذن الله.
for all teachers يعني for all branches.
الله
حضرتك
بإذن
هتعلني عنهم برضو على الصفحة هنا على
الله.
الواتساب.
بيست ريس بقى تابعوا بس بيست ريس كده، وهتلاقوا إن شاء الله بإذن الله تو سيشنز حلوين قوي، واحدة يوم الأحد وواحدة يوم إن شاء الله
اه
الله يوم الثلاث بإذن الله إن شاء الله.
تمام، هي اعلان عن اي ايفنت هيبقى جاي هيبقى على صفحة الواتساب، على
على بيست
الواتساب بيج
ريس على
والواتساب
بيست ريس
تمام، واي ريكوردنج بيبقى على التليجرام.
إن شاء الله إن شاء
شاكرين ليك يا دكتور.
العفو، ربنا يكرمكم جميعا، شكرا جزيلا. مس إيمان، يعني إيه ابعتي لي ويب سايت AI ويب سايت for different subjects؟ يعني إيه؟ مش عارفة يعني إيه مس إيمان AI ويب سايت for different subjects؟ طيب thank you so much guys for you today. See you إن شاء الله very soon إن شاء الله، يعني on Sunday and then on Wednesday on Tuesday. على خير دايما، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.